Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm joined today by my guest from MRI Software. Feng, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you, David. How are you?
I'm very good. It started to snow here, so it's a little bit colder where I am, and it's very slippy out there, so be careful. But one of the things that we're going to be talking about today are the changes in the marketplace and some trends that we can expect to see in 2022. You've seen a vast amount of this market has seen a vast amount of changes for agents, and it's almost unrecognizable from where we were in, say, 2018, particularly focusing on some of those changes in the way that we work. And I think that your message is forewarned is forearmed. You can actually do something about it and get organized in advance. So talk to us a little bit about the way that you see things at MRI.
Well, obviously everyone's probably sick and tired of hearing the big C word, but it is still very prominent, and where we are at this moment in time, we're still a little bit uncertain of how things are going to progress over the course of next year. Hopefully, we've seen some real positive outcomes of lockdown and of people working remotely, in the sense that from the sales perspective, agents have never been busier. Transaction prices are at an all-time high, and it doesn't look like they're going to be dropping off a cliff anytime soon, despite
Not at the moment.
No, in fact, it's opposite. I think Rightmove reported, or someone reported that it's probably going to still increase next year at a very good rate.
Yeah.
So everyone's been extremely busy, despite the initial uncertainty. I think also, as people come out of lockdown, people are returning back to the office. We're seeing the lettings market really, really pick up, especially in the major cities, people moving back to the cities. People working still in a very hybrid environment, which obviously impacts what they're thinking about regards to where it is they're living and the type of property they're living in, and in general, like a general behavior itself, where people have got pets and new children.
Everybody's got a pet. I can vouch for that. So I'm one of those many families that joined the pet revolution during lockdown too. And if when you take your dog for a walk, you cannot move. There's traffic in the park with the dog walkers, and you can see that everywhere. And I think that is indicative of the way that our lives have changed. We've decided that we are going to spend more sort of quality time. We're going to spend more time at home anyway. So that worry about having a pet that's left unattended, well, they're there now, that they're sort of work colleagues and friends all at the same time. So yeah, I can vouch for that. That has changed a lot.
Yeah, certainly. And because of how we've been changing in our behaviours, obviously changing how agents are working as well. People have a bit more of an expectation that information is going to be made a bit more readily available on the internet before you even have to speak to an agent. So that sort of transparency about what's on offer is really key to drawing in the market. Customer service in itself as well, now that there's probably a bit more time, where agents have been able to do a lot of initial viewings virtually to qualify their applicants, freeing up that time, so those that are truly qualified are getting a much better level of service.
Have a better quality of conversation with that person now, because they've realized that there's a way of filtering interest now as well.
Yeah, certainly. And I guess education for their customers right up by making all that information transparent has just really help them just really prioritize what's going to be moving a lot quicker. So it's a great time, to be honest, to be an agent. You can see it really moving on the sales side, but also on the letting side, where there's a lot more people entering the lettings market. Students are still graduating, they're still moving to the cities for jobs.
There's massive demand. So I think you've got a lot of people that are still moving, and more people that are joining that marketplace as renters, and there's people that are choosing to do that for all the reasons that you've already said. Where we want to live is changing, and we can't necessarily afford to buy where we want to live, but sometimes we can afford to rent it. So I've seen a lot of people renting places that they wouldn't have dreamed of renting sort of 10 years ago, but now very much it's almost a lifestyle choice. So it's a very interesting shift. But I think one of the things that's been, the tax regime for landlords and legislation and so on has not been overly kind to landlords over the last few years. And then if you were to add on to that the fact that COVID understandably has added a layer of arrears and so on, because tenants have been protected and inside properties, it's not necessarily been the most pleasant of circumstances for landlords. So I think one of the challenges that agents find is that landlords entering that market, there's a reduced number of them, I think it's probably fair to say, but there are some opportunities there for agents who want to work a little bit harder on that.
Yeah, certainly, and you're right there, David. I would say I guess those with some of them call them accidental landlords as well, coming onto market, they are sort of starting to exit a little bit because of the tax implications, which is, I guess, as an agent, if they've sort of been your bread and butter, especially in the regions, it is making it a bit more difficult to find new landlords, to find new stock in that sense. I guess it then puts a bit more focus on the service that you can offer landlords. And one of the things you highlighted is especially around tax, and anywhere you can offer a service like making their tax bit more digital and taking it off their hands, giving them a bit more clarity on what their property is actually going to provide for them up front.
So you guys actually have a making tax digital module, don't you? So is that offered to all your clients? Is that something that they can take you up on, and how would that enhance the landlord's experience?
Yeah, certainly. We do have a module that's built into the system, which allows agents to calculate the tax returns for the landlords themselves at the end of the year. And I guess for those who, have one or two properties that they just invested in, or they inherited even, it takes that out of their hands, something they don't have to really worry themselves with at the end of the year.
It's a great, I've got to tell agents, it's a great talking point with landlords as well. So if you're getting to the end of that year and you're going to offer to effectively prepare these documents for them and give it over to them so that they can then use that in line with their accountants and further advice, it's a good point at which to ask your landlords whether or not you're managing all the properties that they own, or whether they have others, because those others won't be included on that report. And you could sort of turn around to them and say, look, if we can manage all your properties, or if you have some more to give us, those could be included within that service. I think it's a nice sort of prospecting discussion to have as well with a landlord, possibly.
Yeah, it really keeps that relationship going. And if you're using the landlord portal as well, making all of those statements and documentation available across the entire portfolio, given that sort of consolidated overview of their entire income and expenditure, it's a really great way for them to be able to see their entire investment without actually just having to give you a call, because let's be honest, it's always something that's on your mind in the middle of the night, and nobody works in the middle of the night.
Yeah, unless you're worried about it, you're up there.
Unless you're worried about it, yeah.
So it's interesting. I think the overriding message that I read on a recent blog of yours is that is resilience, and we've learned that we need to adapt to these new market circumstances, and I think agents in general have learned that they need to stay as flexible as possible in the solutions that they offer their clients, and therefore they need to make sure they use it on the other side of it in order to deliver that service. They need an equally flexible solution, one that sort of continues to add value in the way that we've discussed, and sort of keeps them ready for anything, because forward planning is what 2022 is likely to be about.
Yeah, certainly. And like a software like ours, that's at its very core offers estate agents, letting agents exactly what it is they need to do, but it's continuing to develop in line with what agents want, but also what we can see that is changing in the market, like putting in that Make a Tax Digital module that happened a couple of years ago in anticipation of HMRC going on online and people wanting that. So going forward, having something that's very at its core what you need, but also offers you that flexibility, but future development is really, really crucial. And we partner with a lot of prop tech applications in the market as well to offer people that flexibility, because we know that sometimes whilst we can build something in the system, maybe one of our partners has done it just a little bit better and people prefer to use them. So why not connect to them, save our customers that time?
Well, it's great. It's number one on my priority for any decent supplier, is that they have to play well with others. And I think you guys have demonstrated that you can partner up with different prop tech suppliers to provide solutions that are flexible for your clients, and that basically keeps your software alive, doesn't it? Because it gives it new uses, and without you guys having to sort of drag through the development, people are doing it and you're coming together as one. So give us a few examples of the sort of integrations that you guys do.
Yeah, so some of the major ones, I guess, TDS, Good Lord, FixFlow. I get those quite popular. Other referencing partners like Van Milder, Verycheck, inventory partners, Peach, Infuna, TouchRight. We've got, I think, our list is ever expanding, over 50 different partnerships. But this year, especially a few months ago, we released our API, which means it's just much easier for everyone to just connect to us. There's a very standard API, but we're also very open to conversations around how we can actually better our API as well. So even though our partners have a historic integration, that doesn't mean that in a few months' time we're not going to improve it to make that journey better. And getting that guidance from not only our partners but also our clients is really, really key for our development roadmap.
That's superb, and I think that will give any agent that's considering a software provider such as yourselves, and when they're looking at CRM solutions, you always want to know that the solution that you're investing in is going to stay agile and is going to be able to connect seamlessly with all the other things that we've mentioned. And I think you guys have showed that willingness time and time again. So it's that is resilience, isn't it, really? And that means that whatever the market throws at you, hopefully in your tool bag you have something out there that is going to help the agent.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we talk about resilience, but I think you've also got to be flexible and be able to adapt to the change in order to continue to be resilient in the market. And I'd like to say that that's what we've been doing. That's what we're hoping to continue to do, and hopefully show that you don't have to be sort of fixing a system that doesn't work for you.
So for anybody that's not currently a customer of yours, what's the best way for them to engage and perhaps sort of get to grips with what it is that you offer? Is that to sort of arrange a demo as the next step, or?
Yeah, they can arrange a conversation. It's a very open conversation to understand if our solution is right for them. We're always pushing information out into the market as well. We've got our agency webinar, spotlight webinar, that they can watch. It's usually about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just a regular event which showcases some of the things that we're doing. So I think we recently had one with Itria, who is another partner of ours. And that just spent time just showing how that integration works and the benefits of using Itria. So some of agents who may not have been aware of some of our partners can really make the most of our partner network.
Great, so they can get a flavour of what it is that you offer and how agile your solution is. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
No problem, David. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.